this next part of our broadcast is communism is not a problem for America. America doesn't have any aversion to doing business with communist nations. She does business with China. In fact, China is one of the greatest trading partners of America. If Walmart wouldn't go to China to get products, maybe Walmart would not be the strong corporate entity that she is. So many business people from America are having their products produced in China. America, you don't have a problem with her communism that it stops you from doing business. You fought Vietnam and they prevailed. They drove you out. Now it's one nation, not North and South. But aren't you there? Don't you have those that fought in Vietnam going back to the areas where they fought now with friendship? Don't you have Vietnamese that you brought from South Vietnam and they are citizens of America? But they love their country, aren't they here? And even though Russia now has voting and the appearance of some democratic processes, it still has a strong communist political presence. So if America has no problems with friendship and doing business and trading with communist nations, but 90 miles from America is a nation called Cuba. The Spaniards, who were a part of the criminal enterprise of the transatlantic slave trade, brought many Africans to Cuba, as the Portuguese brought many Africans to South America, particularly Brazil. Why then are you so upset with Cuba that you would blockade Cuba for 54 years? She has been under the withering heat of America's blockade and hatred of Castro and his Cuba. What did Mr. Castro do that makes you hate him so? Let us see. What is it about socialism in Cuba that makes Cuba persona non grata for America for all these years? According to the demographics of the original people in Cuba, they say about 68% of the Cuban people are black and mulatto, maybe more. I have discovered in my travels throughout the world that hiding the black reality is part of the white strategy of supremacy. The original people in Egypt, Syria, Cuba, Saudi Arabia, Argentina were all people of color. But when they send their representatives of the ruling party to America as ambassadors, they send white representatives of their people. They do this so that it hides the reality of the indigenous people of their land. I did not know that there were many black Syrians until I went to Syria. I did not know that there were so many black Palestinians until I went to Palestine, now called Israel, and my Hebrew Israelite brothers walked with me and we talked to Palestinians, and I asked them, how long have you and your people been here? He can't even tell you how long it's been that long. Well, the point is, our people are there in Cuba. They live there. So under America's blockade and sanction, my brothers and sisters, as well as other human beings, are suffering. Sanctions does that. And why do you do it, America? You do it to force the people to do something that pleases you, and that is to overthrow the government that you are sanctioning, so you make the people suffer. This is what you're doing to Iran. This is what you're doing to North Korea. This is what you do to any nation that does not bow to your will. When God chose Moses, that didn't end the suffering of the children of Israel. Because when he delivered the message to Pharaoh, Pharaoh and his people increased the evil against the children of Israel. So don't think because truth has come that falsehood would just disappear immediately. A fight ensues between the lovers of darkness and the lovers of God's light. What did Castro do? A brief look at Cuba before Castro. It was a playground for the wealthy of America. It was a gangland paradise, as you saw in The Godfather. It was a paradise for American companies and those who were the big businessmen and women. But the black man in Cuba was considered nothing, as he is in every society dominated by so-called well-meaning white people. So the church might be well-meaning in Latin America, but it never changes the condition of the peasants. And that's why a liberation theology came out of that area, because the people are enslaved by religion and the false teaching in religion. What did Castro do? The Babylonian Talmud instructs Jewish people that 3 things they have to have in order to be a man. You must have land or real estate, you must have cash, and you must have those who will work your land. If you own land, then you must have those that work the land. Since you don't work the land, you are the owner. So the Talmud makes the Jews to have a covenant relationship with the land, mainly the land called Israel or Palestine, which maybe we'll touch in next week's broadcast. So when Fidel Castro rose to power, not as a white man, but as a mestizo, a white-looking man, but of color, who felt the pain of the common man in Cuba. When he overthrew Batista, he instituted agrarian land reform and nationalized land and business. 90% of the Jewish people that were on the island of Cuba left Cuba and came to Florida and other parts of America, but mainly Florida. And there, the hatred of Castro took palpable form. Not only did these Jewish Cubans regain wealth and power, they became so powerful that politicians now needing the votes of Florida in the Electoral College, none of these politicians want to do that which would anger those in Florida, nor do they wish to help establish a better relationship with Cuba. All Central America and South America is awake now, and they are angry with America, not only because of your treatment of them, but because of your treatment of Cuba. And if you want friendship with South America and Central America, you're going to have to adjust your policy towards Cuba. That is what you must do. The time requires it. In the book